thank you to the organizers of this important panel for inviting us to add our voice on the issue of civilian protection and addressing gender-based violence in the conflict. I am the Executive Director of Afya Mama. Afya Mama, for those who do not know, it is Swahili word that means women's health, and we are a local organization, women's-led organization in the Democratic Republic of Congo, working in both setup in conflict and also in non-conflict environments. And before I go to the work that we do, I'd like to comment on my co-panelist address on the peacekeeping mission, for instance. As she said, I'm going to point out the gap that we have noticed in the case of MONUSCO in the Democratic Republic of Congo, is in the communication between the peacekeeping mission and the local community. To protect civilians, there have to be a clear communication. Community needs to know what the mission of a peacekeeping, and also communication is not just in terms of the content. What we have noticed is that many communication came out in French, and not all population could access such a high-level communication. Example of the transition plan that she mentioned, because the population didn't know there were transition plan going on, we saw the attack on the peacekeeping mission. And our recommendation on this is for the peacekeeping mission to work more with local organizations, so that especially women's-led organization as well as youth-led organization, so that we can cover the gap of communication. When the population knows the mission, the goal of a peacekeeping mission, the population will be able to support and to accompany the process. When they do not know, this is leaving a window for a manipulation, especially in the context where we have election going on. Although the officials do not always give the right information without manipulation. Secondly, I would add one thing, is that peace, for a peace in a local level, we need to collaborate with local organizations at all levels. And what Afya Mama does, actually, for protection of gender-based violence survivor in the conflict sector, before even addressing the survivors' protection, we work in prevention, because the best way to address gender-based violence is to prevent from the violence to happen. As we do a lot of peace education projects in the community, and we also offer a lot of sexual, reproductive, and health awareness raising, and we also support men's engagement in addressing gender-based violence. There is also one gap that local organizations will need to cover, is the capacity building on the use of ICT, because without access to technology or technology inclusion for local organizations, the problem is that a lot of data collection, analysis, documentation, or reporting mechanism is not being used. So local organizations have a lot of information that could have been used otherwise to prevent from violence to happen, but they are not using it because of lack of capacity and lack of inclusion in technology and the communication. And one thing that I really would like also to point out is we need the support of more women's participation in peace processes And when we say more women's participation in peace processes, it's not just as victims coming to testify of what they've gone through. It's women as mediators who would come to add their voices to the process so that any peace process can get to a sustainable agreement. And I liked the fact that access to justice was also mentioned earlier by my co-panelists. In our case of the Democratic Republic of DRC, the transitional justice needs to be more efficient and realized so that this can address impunity of the perpetrators of the gender-based violence in the context of conflict. Because without an efficient justice, without punishments to the perpetrators, we see that new armed groups that are rising is also doing a lot of harms on the population in general, but on women and girls in particular. So, to say so, there is also one suggestion that I would like to point out at this level is the work that Afyaman does. We do have social aid houses for protection of survivors while they are ongoing judicial processes, but this is just at a small level. We need more protection mechanism for survivors of gender-based violence as well as for the witnesses. The other approach or strategy that we use is that we have put in place an early warning mechanism. While we go in community to do our work on sexual reproductive health and rights awareness raising, on peace education amongst the young people, what we also do is to see if there are tension, or I will say conflict sensitivity analysis that we do with different communities when we have our community dialogue, and we will bring up this information either with the peace keeping mission in the DRC or with the officials, and we need these early warnings to be taken seriously so that some conflict can be prevented instead of waiting for conflict to break out. Then think of protection of civilians. And the other work that we do is the legal mobile clinics, because most of the survivors of gender-based violence in the conflict sector do not always have the means or the security. They don't feel safe to leave the displaced camp, for instance, to go to the justice system. So what we do is we bring lawyers and legal counselors to them. Once we have identified a case, then we will take that case and guarantee the safety of the survivor. And the other thing that we also do is health mobile clinic. Again, like I mentioned before, for women, the sexual and reproductive health and right is extremely important, and especially in the context of conflict, access to safe abortion for survivor of rape, for instance, is a right that we are fighting for it to really be reality, because some women and girls who have been raped by groups of men do not always want to keep the pregnancy. So while doing this work, it is for us important that they are able to access health service for secure access to a safe abortion, but also to access the judicial system. So at this point, I would like really to thank this important panel for giving us an opportunity to share our experience of work on civil protection and addressing gender-based violence. We will really emphasize on the fact that a holistic approach is needed to prevent conflict before, and also to address the gender-based violence in the context of conflicts. And that can only be efficient if a collaboration is done between the local organizations, and efficient communication is done, but also if local organizations can really access new technology to allow us to share information and also to learn from others, and to get the support that is needed in order to save lives and to protect our communities. Thank you so much for this panel, and we remain available for next opportunity. Thanks.